Hi everyone, welcome back to our video series on the new digital SAT verbal section. Don't forget to follow us and comment below on additional content you'd like to see. All right, so for today we have one of these writing questions. So our first step is going down to our options and thinking about what's different between them, what type of question is this? And if we notice between these choices, the only thing that's different is the punctuation, mostly commas and semicolons it looks like. So this is going to be a punctuation question, and we're going to be thinking what sort of punctuation do we need here in the passage to connect the different clauses that we see. So looking at our passage, we have Joshua Hinson, a director of the Language Revitalization Program of the Chickasaw Nation in Oklahoma, helped produce the world's first Indigenous language instructional app, Chickasaw blank. Chickasaw TV in 2010 and a Rosetta Stone language course in Chickasaw in 2015. All right, so I want us to pay close attention to what we're seeing about the structure in this last part of the passage. This organization here is pretty noticeable. It stands out because we can see that we have some sort of a list here. We can see that we're talking about this guy, Joshua Hinson, and kind of his inventions. And we have a list, but what's noticeable about it is that we have a semicolon in the list. So, typically we use semicolons to connect to independent clauses, but the other use for the semicolon is helping connect phrases, items in a list that's more complicated. So we can see here that, all the items in this list, for example, the last item is pretty long, Rosetta Stone language course in Chickasaw in 2015. There's also a comma in that list item, so that can get confusing if you're also using commas to separate the items in a list. So it's really noticeable here that we're going to have some sort of list that is being separated by these semicolons. And if we're thinking here about our options, so we're talking about his different inventions. So what we want at the beginning of our kind of item here is going to be the invention itself. And we can see that after our blank, we're starting with a new item here, the Chickasaw TV. So that means that we're going to want to think about whether or not we have a description of that item, whether or not that's the initial part of the item or what's going on there. We can also see too that there's a common structure of listing the invention and then followed by a comma and the year. You can see that in this section and in this section here. So we're probably going to follow that similar phrasing and structure as well in this item. So if we look kind of at our first half of our options in this portion here, we're going to want to have basic followed by a comma. So that means we can get rid of options A and B. So then we have our name here separated from our year with the comma. So then looking at the rest of our option here, so we can also get rid of source option D because we can tell we're going to need a semicolon somewhere in this sentence because we definitely are separating at least 3 things. So that means option C is going to be our correct choice. All right, follow us for more.